This conference will now be recorded.
I have a time to review the last session with you.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think the last part I couldn't, I think, understand well. That's why I want to have like a small recap about. Yeah, it's about actually it's about the. So if you have that example, or I can show you because I practiced at my end. I have the code.
Okay. Which one you are asking?
The runnable, the last one, last example.
Okay, with run. Okay.
Yes, I think it's thread example 3.
Oh, okay, fine. So what's the doubt in that you have?
I think my doubt is basically that example. Let me see. What's my doubt? Good question. Run Java 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Okay. So it will go to run. Oh, so basically, maybe I can show you my screen. You want, or you have that example?
I have that example.
Oh, okay. Can you?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
Let's wait a little bit. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Please. Let me go to a washroom. I come back shortly.
Yes. Take your time.
Yeah. Yes. So I'm back.
Okay. So
Yes,
this
this
is
one exact.
right. So
Yes.
you can see my screen, right?
Yes.
So you have any specific doubt, or you want me to repeat this example?
Yeah. Can you go through it again? Actually.
Yes, I'll do. So I think you understand. So I'll be telling you with this example. So you are clear with this thread example, right?
Yes, I'm clear. It's
Okay.
just the last one, the runnable.
Yes.
And
So
also, sorry, one thing. Also, you talked about something about a poly. I don't know what's that. Polydism. Also, you mentioned something like that.
poly. Can you spell it again? Like poly.
This word. I don't know what you are mentioning. You said you said basically you said that the interface. You said that the interface can have like something about the poly, something like this word. Can you see?
Dynamic polymorphism.
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay. Okay, I have explained you about dynamic polymorphism in core Java. Like, so we are in core Java only. Have explained you this concept actually, dynamic polymorphism for sure.
Okay, to me?
Yes, yes, for you. I have explained you.
Oh, maybe I missed. Okay.
Yeah, so in interface concept, I'll be telling you again. But it is like little, it will take again like 20, 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes again. So to have the clear picture. So what you do,
Okay,
I
sure, sure. I
even I'll
don't
just go
remember,
to the,
like, to be
what
honest.
I'll do,
Uh,
I'll go to the playlist and I'll check where I have explained it. Right?
okay, okay, okay,
I can
sure.
able to better tell you right which is the number, right? So
Okay,
then
okay,
you
sure,
can
sure.
go to that slide and see that dynamic polymorphism again
Okay,
actually.
okay, okay.
So try to do that after this class because it's that like very important in core Java. Most of the time you
Maybe,
see that.
okay, I will check, sure. But
So this is,
maybe it's for Daniel. I really don't have any like memory if we talked about it. But I will go through for sure.
okay,
Maybe
okay,
it's for
even
Daniel. Yeah, but to be honest, I don't have any like memory.
okay, okay. Okay. I'll be checking. If not, I'll be telling you again. So
Sure,
better
sure, sure.
we'll check with that, and if not, we'll be continuing that tomorrow.
Okay,
Then
okay. Mm.
okay. Some confusion maybe. Even when I was very
Yeah,
confident that I told you, but when
yeah,
you are saying that, then I
yeah.
was
Because
confused.
if let's say about like abstract, like for sure I have like we talked about it, and also we
Okay,
talked about the inheritance also. But for
okay,
poly, I really don't have any memory. But maybe somewhere. But yeah. But yeah, please check. I will also check out my side.
okay, okay. Fine, fine. We'll see that. Fine. Okay. So, I would have thought that in interface, if then only if when there is an interface, you go right. Whenever there is an interface and abstract concept, with that I'll be telling you that dynamic polymorphism. If I have told you, right? So we'll see that. So here, please let me know when there is a voice breakage or something.
Okay.
So you have what is this? Your runnable, right? So this is nothing but your interface, right? So what is this interface is having? It is having one method. What is that method? A run method. So what is this? This is nothing but my abstract method, right? So who is going to provide the logic for this? Any class that implements your runnable is going to provide the logic for this, right? So if you see, you have a, so you have a thread class. So what we have seen in the before example, we have a thread class. So this things you are clear, right? So you have a thread class. What it is doing? It is so this is also predefined. So this thread is also a predefined class,
Okay.
right? So this, I have not written it properly. So what it has done? It has overridden the run method in it, right? It means there is some it has just overridden it, but it has not written anything because it is implementing, so it has to do overriding. So what we done in the previous example, a we have taken a small example. What is our example that we have taken? Thread example. So this is a class which is extending your thread class, right?
Mm.
So thread example extends your which class? Thread class, right? Here thread implements what? Implements runnable. So from you where you get this run method from runnable only. You have written because you have to do that bit. But again what you are doing in this thread class, again you are overriding again that run method, same run method, and we have written a logic here, right?
Mm.
And we have written a logic here. I'm trying to tell this example because it is, when you understand this properly, you can able to relate that runnable very easily. So I'm just repeating it. So you are creating an object and you are calling a start method. So on what object you are calling a start method? You are calling a object on thread example, right? So it will go to the thread example method and it will see whether the start method exists present in the thread example or not. So is there any start method here? No, right? So then what it is going to do, it is going to go to the thread class and it is going to call the start method which is present in a thread class, and that is going to call your this run method, right? So it is the like that there is a relationship, and that's the reason you can able to do that. I can able to call so you are having a start method here also, right? So you have a start method that is present where, that is present in your thread class. So what this start method will do, this so from this what I'm going to call, I'm going to call a start method. So the start method which is present over here gets called, right? It is going to get called the start method that is present in your thread class, right? So what it is going to do, that particular start method, I have told you all this but I'm just repeating it. So is going to call the child class run method, right? So when it is going to do after completing all its initialization. Why I need to call the start method? Because all the thread activities, so for example to make a thread you need to register to a thread scheduler, so that was done in a start method. So for example to make to create a thread, what I need to do, I need to definitely call the start method that is present in the thread class. So this is the first example that we have seen by creating a thread. So what is the second example that we have seen? What is the doubt that you have asked, right? So here what we are doing, we are extending with thread example 3. So thread example 3 is implementing your runnable, right? So thread example, what it is doing, implements. So when it is implementing, what it has to do, definitely the overriding of run method is mandatory here. So then what it is doing, it is just overriding that run method, because this is the concept of your interface, right? So whenever you implement that interface, you need to override that abstract method what is present, right here. So in this, assume that there is a main method, I'm not writing it. So what object I'm creating, assume that I'm creating a thread example object. So thread example e some th equals to new example 3. So actually what is the method that I need to call to make multi-threading? I need to call the, which method? I need to call the start method. So can I call th.start method here, Mike? Can I do this?
Cost, no, no.
No, because there is no start method
Yeah,
present in your
because yes, the
we
parent
has not.
parent class is the runnable. Interface is the runnable.
So you cannot call. You can do
Yeah.
here because your parent is thread here, right?
Yes.
So if I'm trying to do here, what happens, it is going to show me the error if
Mm.
I'm going to call the start method with the thread exe. So thread dot, so it is going to show me the error. So I
Yeah.
need to call this method, I need to call only the start method that is present in the thread class. So assume that I'm creating a thread class object, right? So I'm writing it as thread, reference as thread. So right. So in this, can I call thread dot start now? I can call, but when I do this, it acts as a multi-threading.
thread start. You want to call thread start. Thread start. You
So what
have a
happens?
thread now. Yeah, you have a thread now. You can call thread start. Okay. Yeah.
I can call, but
Yes.
whether this start method will call this run method? No.
No. No, it
In
will
this
not
case,
call a run
in,
method.
in this case, it will not because there is
Mm.
no relationship between your thread example and thread.
Yes.
Right? Is there any
Yes.
relation? No, right?
Mm.
So this is not the child, there is no parent. So you created this object, you create. So there is no relation. So that's the reason it cannot call your run method, right?
Mm.
So, but in the previous example, if I create a thread object and if I call the start method, so for example, in the previous case, if I created a thread object, I created a thread object th equals to new,
Mm.
right? So
Mm.
now I can call the start method, right?
Mm.
So if I call the start method, what happens? It's going, it will not there, it will go this start method, and this start method will call the run method because here there is a relationship between your thread. So here you are not creating thread example, sorry, thread class, you will create an object of thread example, sorry. Or you can do thread class also. So here you have a relationship with what you have a relationship, you have the relationship between your thread example and a thread. So that
Mm.
is the reason there is no issue, right?
Yeah.
But
Yes.
here there is a no relationship, right? So what you need to do, you need to establish the relation. So in this case, how you are creating a thread object, you are creating a thread object with zero parameter. So if I am creating a child object with zero parameter, how my parent object is going to create, it is going to create with the zero parameter. I told you this in in inheritance concept. So for
Mm.
example, you have a parent and you have a child, right? So I am creating a child object. What happens? On top of it, your parent object gets created and it will give its properties to the child. I think
Mm.
you remember this, Mike.
Yes.
We have seen this, right? So for
Yes.
example, when you create a zero parameterized constructor also, without calling super, what it is do, is going to create a parent class object and it is going to give its properties to the child, right?
Child.
So
Yes.
here what I'm creating a thread example, I'm creating a thread child class object, but also what object it will create, it will create its parent object first, the thread object first, and it will give its properties. Now
Mm.
in this case, what I can say, the object is getting created, the thread object is getting created with how, with which parameter, it is going to create it with zero parameter. I told you thread, even I have shown you actually. So
Mm.
thread is a predefined class which will have four different constructors. So what is the first constructor? It has two construct. Assume that whatever the constructors that way. So it will have the constructor thread. I'm talking about the constructors that are present in a predefined class thread. So this is a zero parameterized constructor it will have, and what is the one more constructor it will have? Thread with parameter. What is the parameter? Runnable is a parameter. So with this parameter also it will have. So your thread is having two constructors. Your predefined thread class is having two constructors. One with thread with zero parameter and thread with one parameter, and the parameter is runnable here,
Mm.
right? So in
Mm.
this case, in the whenever you are creating a thread with when you are trying to create a thread with extending thread class, what constructor is getting calling? It is getting calling your zero parameterized constructor. But when you are trying to create a thread with runnable, so what I need to pass? I need to pass that object reference. I should establish the relationship, right? So I'll pass the th. So what is this th here? That is nothing but my object reference. I'm entering that to an object. I'm passing th.
Mm.
So th, I'm
Mm.
closing.
Mm.
So how I'm creating an object? I'm creating the thread object with one parameter.
Mm.
So in this one parameter, what I'm passing? I'm passing the object. What object I'm passing? I'm passing thread example 3
Mm.
object. So this example 3 object I am passing. So how your so which constructor will call? It will call 0 parameter? No, it is going to call your 1 parameter.
mm,
So same like for example, I think you got clarity, but I'm trying to tell you some more clearly. So you have an A like this, and you have A with 1 parameter, right? So if you want to create a object with 0 parameter, what I'll do, you are going to create an object like this. So which when that what it is going to call, it is going to call your 0 parameterized constructor, right? So if you want to create an object with 1 parameter, what you are going to do, you are going to call with 1 parameter, right? So you are going to
mm,
pass that key here. So like this you are doing, right? The same concept here. So instead of this A, assume that this A is a thread class. So you
mm,
know this concept. So this, when I create an object with this, which constructor gets called? It is going to call your 0 parameterized constructor. When I create an object with 1 parameter, which is going to call, it is going to get called this one, right? So
mm,
please stop me when in the middle or when you are not clear with anything else, right?
mm,
So
mm,
here the same thing. Instead of A, what I have a thread.
mm,
It's a predefined one. And what
mm,
I have a thread with runnable.
mm,
Thread with, instead of parameter of int, what I have a runnable. What is this runnable? Runnable is nothing but an interface. So with this interface, I have a constructor, right? So here, if I do this thing, so when I, this is the constructor I'm calling when we extend thread class.
mm,
So when you create a thread class by
mm,
extending, when you create it, so you there are two ways of creating, right? Thread. So when you are creating a thread by extending thread class, which constructor is getting called? Your zero parameterized constructor is getting
mm,
called, right?
mm,
So whenever you are trying to create a thread by implementing runnable, there are the
mm,
second way of creating a thread, right? So when you create a thread by second way, what you are going to call, it is getting called your one parameterized constructor, that is runnable. So here what I am passing, I am passing the child object. What is my child object here? Thread example 3. For that I am taking th reference. So I have not created that. So th means confuses, right? Okay, I can say this as a th1. So that's a variable. Don't worry. So here what I am passing, I am passing the child. What is that child? This thread example th equals to, you can see, right?
mm.
So you have thread example
Mm,
th equals to new. So I am passing which one? So you can see th is the
mm,
reference variable of thread example 3. So
mm,
that th is passing. So which one is getting called? It is going to get called your one parameterized constructor
mm,
when
mm,
we implement runnable. So
mm.
when we create a thread by runnable, which constructor is getting called? It is going to call your one parameterized constructor. So this runnable is getting called. So why it is getting this called runnable? Your thread example 3. So
Yeah,
this,
but in this code, like where is the one parameter constructor? We don't where is it in this code?
in this
Like
code.
yeah, because the now the
Ah,
th
that's what.
yeah
Ah,
like
it's a predefined class, right? So thread is a predefined class, right? So here you are creating a thread and you are just
uh,
doing it. it's not required you to write it, right? So it's a predefined
Yeah,
thing. So
but
it is
I
default.
remember we have default like a constructor. We don't need to write it. But for one parameter constructor, we should if we want to call that, we should write that constructor, right? But
Already,
here,
already, already it was there, right? So why it is required to write? Already that constructor is there. So this thread is not our class. So why we write one parameter, two parameter? That is nothing but user defined classes that we are creating that classes. So, but if you see, thread is not we are creating. It is already present. It is already predefined class that is present in a the Java people has given it, right? So I have shown you that Java API documentation also.
yes, you
So,
should be, yes.
so by default, so already you have one parameter, already you have two parameter, all the constructors are there. So you are just calling that.
Oh, so okay, so
Already
here,
it was there.
so here even the one parameterized constructor is still existing.
Ah,
So
yes,
then,
I will.
oh,
I have
so
shown
then
you
we call
the.
it. Uh,
There are you have different constructors. So thread is a predefined class. So for
mm,
example, your example emp3. So thread example 3. So this
mm,
is what the class that I am writing. So that will not be there in the documentation, right? Your runnable is a predefined, that is there. Your
mm.
thread is a predefined, the Java people has given it.
I
So
see,
that
I
was
see.
there.
Mm,
So, for example, you are trying to, what you said is right. For example, I am trying to call this constructor. Assume that if I am trying to call one parameterized constructor, if you see here, I
mm.
have one parameterized constructor in this case.
No.
No, right? So,
Mm,
as you told, zero parameter I can create. And if I am trying to call a one parameterized constructor here, it will show me an error that it
mm,
will say that one parameter is not there because
mm,
this
mm.
class is not our, this is the class that we are written. This is not the class that Java has written. So it was not there. But for the thread, already the class is present.
Now I got it. I got it.
Yeah,
Okay, okay. It's already
already,
there is. Oh, I see. Okay, okay.
already,
I got.
what
I
is
got to
the,
your point. You don't miss show me. Yeah, yeah. I know.
okay, okay.
It's already like one parameter is also there. Uh,
Yes. So I'm
can you
showing
please?
you again.
Yes, yes. You if you want. Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
what now? What are the all the constructors that are present? I'm showing. You have in thread you have different constructors. So you see in thread you have different constructors. Thread
All these are there. Yeah, all these
these are
are
all are there.
already in the
Already there.
core Java core.
Already
I
they have it.
I got the
So if
point.
I,
Yes. So now I got to the point. So after so you create a new thread th object, right? New th, new thread object th.
mm,
Then here you call a start constructor, right?
yes,
And after that, because there is a thread class, so it will call thread class, right? It will call
yes,
thread class, and then it will go to runnable, and
yes.
then execute run. That's the like logic, right? That's the sequence.
Ah, yes, yes.
Okay, okay.
1 minute.
Hmm.
Okay. Is this clear, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So this one is a multi-threading also, right?
Ah, yes. So like
So
again, it will
start
be
and then it
whenever.
call runnable, it call
Yes,
run,
yes.
and okay. At the same time, is executing the last one, the inside the main.
Ah, yes.
Okay.
Okay. So no confusions, right?
Mm. For me, the first method is more like it's more clear. It's more straightforward.
Straightforward. Like the little
Yeah, the
confusion
thread
there
because
is
you
this.
can see it goes thread, and here like it use yeah it
I
makes
am
more.
trying to
Mm,
not confuse. I am trying to interlink it. So why you are doing this? So I'm just trying to interlink it. So once you are very clear, you
uh,
may get. So
sure,
once you
sure, sure. Mm,
that you get an idea actually.
yeah,
So
yeah.
why it is calling this runnable is nothing but how. So as I told you, your parent can hold child objects, right?
Mm.
So that you remembered.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Pair can yes.
all yeah, the thing in Java is, as I told you earlier. So, for example, you should be very clear on the previous topics also. Like as I told you, this child holding, the constructors also. So, what happens, So once when we are not practicing more on that examples, even it happens to me also in the initial stages when I'm going to learn. So, what happens that concept makes you little confusing for you, right? So, for example, when we are learning something and if it is new, right, if there is nothing interlinked with other previous topics, that will be not an issue at all, right, Mike? But when you are learning a topic that is obviously linked with 4 or 5 topics, then
Mm,
what is the thing is nothing but to make the topic very clear, you should be having very good understanding of the previous ones.
yes, yes.
So otherwise, it will be always a little confusion. When I'm
Mm,
learning in the initial stages, also it happened, right? So
okay.
this
Yeah.
whole concept, so like your constructors or these things, as I told you, I have taught you the concept, but it could be like I have not shown you more examples or practicing. I just left for you actually, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it's,
Mm,
it could be like even from now also what I suggest is nothing but so you we can go back to the constructors, we can go back to the interference, sorry, inheritance or any concept. It is so what I suggest is nothing but you just go and do some more examples on that
yeah. Yeah. Sure.
in the previous ones also.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Yes. I will do that. Yeah.
I feel like in, this multi-threading or exception handling or these collections, these are nothing but the separate topics that we are learning. So
Mm,
these are nothing. For example, if you don't understand something in collection, there is no relation between multi-threading, right? So there is
mm,
no relationship between exception handling, right? But that OOPS concepts that we learned, like up to inheritance, constructors, before starting all this. So these are very important. So here also your runnable R equals to what happens, it is going to write thread example 3 internally. Your parent can hold your child object. So that interlinking will happen. Okay. We are in, okay. So we have seen, and I have told you there are different priorities for threads, right?
uh,
As
priority for thread.
Okay,
No.
so for a
Mm,
thread, you will have a different priorities. So what is this meaning of priority is, for example, you have a lot of threads, right? So for example, you have 10, 15, 100 threads, right? So your process is the one which is responsible of executing. So the processor is the one which will execute all the threads, right? So processor has to decide which thread to be executed, right? So how it is going to decide is nothing but based on the priority. So you have a thread, you have a processor. In between you, what you have a thread scheduler. So what this thread scheduler is going to do is nothing but it is going to take one of the any of the thread which is having more priority and it is going to queue to the processor, right? So you have a thread scheduler. So what it is going to do, it is going to take the threads which have more priority and giving it to the processor, and processor will execute that thread. So it's like a gate between your threads and a processor, right? For example, you have a a thread which is having a priority of 1 and priority of 9. So priority starts from 1 to 10. So if you have a 10, that is more priority, right? So you have a priorities, you can give it as a 1 or 2 like that, and you can have a constants also. So for
okay.
example, I think that you have three threads, which is having 1, which is having 5, which is having 10 priority. So now
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
thread will
Yeah.
do,
This
it is
one
going to take
I
the
know that. Yeah. Mm,
so it is going to take the thread which is having the more priority among all the waiting threads. right? So some processors actually will not support. So sometimes that OS will not support. When I increase the priority, it has to be executed, but sometimes it will not. So how can I increase the priority, or how can I set the priority is nothing but by having a method called set priority. By default, every thread will have a priority called 5. So for example, your main thread is having a priority called 5 and your child thread is also having the priority called 5. So for example, what I'm saying, this is my child thread, right? The run, what I'm running is a child thread. So if you want to see this is my child thread, what you can do, you can just write here inside this method, it is going to write your, uh, so instead of inside child thread, what I'm writing, assume that I'm writing thread dot. So whenever you want to print a current thread, you have a method called thread dot current thread. What I'm doing, I'm just printing this thread dot current.
You want to print out the priority, right?
I was printing the thread current thread, so it will give the priority as well as thread name and the group name. You can see everything.
Okay. Okay.
So what is this? This is my child thread. Before what I'm printing inside file child like that, right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
commenting that. Instead of that, I'm printing the current thread. So you see, I'm printing. I'm printing the current thread dot current thread. So here what is my current thread? My main thread. So here what is my current thread? My child thread. So your thread will have three parameters. One is the name of the thread, one is the priority of the thread, and one is the group that thread belongs. So by default, every thread will have the so priority as 5. So I'm just running this. So I think I closed the console. So you can see here you are printing thread 0 is nothing but your child thread, right? You have seen a main, so this is the name of the thread, and what is the priority of your main thread? 5. And what is the group belongs? It belongs to the 5. So this is the execution of your main thread. So now what happens? Your child thread got started. So if you see, the name of your child thread is thread 0, right? So for example, when you create one more thread, it will be thread 1 or something else. So what is this priority? 5, right? And what is this group? It belongs to main group. Is it clear?
Mm, so the 5 is the priority, right?
Yes. So whenever you print the current thread, it will print the three parameters. It will print with the three parameters. What is the
Mm.
first parameter? This is my first parameter, right? So what it will say is nothing but what is the name of the thread. So what is the
Okay.
second parameter is the priority of the thread. And what is
Okay.
the third parameter is nothing but where the thread belongs to, which group. So every thread will have a group. So for example, you are creating a child thread from a main group only, right? So from main is only creating a child thread, right? So that is the reason it belongs to the main group.
Main group. Okay.
Yes. So for example, you see what is this main is the name of the method, name of the thread. So
Mm.
for example, I'm running this in the main method, main thing, right?
And the thread 0 is the child one, and the main
Yes.
is the okay.
This is,
Main is the main
so
one.
whatever the thing that you are printing. So
Mm-hmm.
you can
Main is the main
you
one.
can
Okay.
write here. So something like inside main. So this is your main thread.
Mm.
I'm appending a strings, right?
Mm.
So this is inside thread example. Your thread example is a child, right?
Mm.
And what I'm doing, assume that I'm trying to change the priority. So for the child thread, what is your priority before? The priority is 5, right? So what I'm
Mm.
trying to do, I'm going to give the priority as 9. example dot, you have a method called set priority. So in this priority, I can pass an integer value. I'm setting the priority as 9. So now your child thread priority gets changes to 9. So, but it's not guaranteed that it is going to execute first. Sometimes your process will not be supporting that. So you can see. So this is my main thread. So inside my main thread, what I'm printing? I'm printing main. So you can see this is the name of the thread and priority 5 and belongs to group. So whenever it is printing inside thread example, so I'm just appending it, right? You can see that appended code. I have appended it, right? So appending means adding a two strings. Here I have done. So I'm appending thread inside the thread example and the current thread. So that I am doing it. So what it is printing? So thread 0. Before, what is that priority? 5. But what I am changing? I am changing the priority to 9. You can see that I am setting the priority as 9. So now it is going to change your priority. So burst, what happens? This the child thread has to be executed, but sometimes, as I told you, it will not work. So you can see. I think this is clear, right?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Okay, Mike, we'll just wind up here. I have to catch a
Sure.
train.
Okay.
Okay. Okay,
So we
fine.
connect tomorrow. Okay, have a good night.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes.
Bye.
Yes.